It's nice to see you all again in this channel today. Today's video is going to be how to cut and sew this pencil skirt with a front lapel and also with a front lacy. The blue one is the inspiration and the green one is the one I recreated. If this is something you are interested in, keep up watching, and please don't forget to subscribe and turn on post notification if you want to see more on this channel. Like this video and leave your comments at the comment section. This really helps my algorithm a lot. Without further ado, let us dive into today's video.
Make me powerful. Open my eyes.
So this is the African print I'm going to be using. It is also known as Ankara fabric. So this is 6 yards of Ankara, but I'm going to be making use of 2 yards at the end of the day. So here are the things needed to make your skirts. You are going to be needing your pattern paper, your tape, your marker, your scissors, your straight ruler, and your French curve. But if you don't have a straight ruler and a French curve, feel free to use your free hand. So I'll go ahead and fold my pattern paper into 2, just like this. So once I'm done folding it into 2, I will take the measurements to see if it's wide enough to cut my skirt and also add sewing allowance. So it's wide enough. So I will mark a straight line at the top here like this, which is going to be serving as the starting guide and also the waistline. So from that line, I will mark my hip point, which is 10.5 inches. Then I will mark a straight line across like this. Then I'll place my tape on the starting line again. I will measure the length of the skirt I'm working with, which is 22 inches. I will mark a straight line across. So if you want yours to be short, you can go up by just measure it, just measure what you want for yourself. I will come to the waistline. I will divide my waist by 4. I will mark it. Then I will add 2 inches sewing and dart allowance. So please divide your waist measurements by 4. Then this is the hip line. I will divide my hip measurements by 4. Whatever I get, I will mark it. I will add just 1 inch joining allowance. I will minus 2 inches from my hip measurements. Whatever that is left, I will divide it by 4. I will mark it on my skirt length. Then I will add 1 inch sewing allowance. So I'll go ahead and use my French curve to connect my hip line from the hip to the waist. Then I will use my straight ruler to connect a slant line to meet with the skirt length. So I'll go ahead and cut it out. So there's something I want to explain to you guys. So from the skirt length, that is that skirt length, I will mark 5 inches downward. Okay, remember I'm going to be adding a lapel at the front of this skirt, that design the front. So I'll go ahead and extend the line from the skirt length down to the length of this pattern paper. So the length that is left is about 5 inches. I hope you guys just saw what I did. I went ahead to extend the line. So this line is going to be serving as my skirt length, while this other part will be serving as the lapel. But I will explain that better, okay? I will go ahead and continue cutting it. So I've gone ahead to cut it. I will minus 2 inches from the waistline, okay, which is going to be serving as the waistband, okay? So I'll go ahead and minus 2 inches. I will cut it out like this. So once I was done cutting it out, I will go ahead and fold my fabric into 2 like this. So I want to cut out the front part of this skirt, okay? There is the main skirt is what I want to cut now. So to do that, I will go ahead and place my pattern paper on my material, on my Ankara or African print. I'll go ahead and use my pin and pin it down to my fabric. Then once I was done pinning it, I will come to this down area. Remember, this is my skirt length, okay? I will fold this pattern paper inside like this because I'm going to be cutting exactly my skirt length. Follow up with what I'm doing. So I will fold it inside. I will go ahead and pin it down. Then once I was done pinning it, I'll go ahead and cut it out. So when I was cutting it out, I went ahead to add half an inch on the top, on the side, on the down, okay, for joining allowance. Then I'll go ahead and fold my fabric into 2 again. So I'm about to cut the back. So from this part, I will mark in 1.5 inch, which is going to be serving as the zipper allowance. So I marked it at the top and also at the down. I'll go ahead and mark a straight line across using my ruler. Then I will place the front part, that is the center front, like this part is closed. I will place it on that line I just marked. So go ahead and place it on the line you just marked. I'll go ahead and cut it out like this, okay? Then I will come to the waistline of the skirt. This is the zipper part. I will go in by half an inch to remove poking from the skirt that is from the back. I will place my ruler on it and like this, slanted. I will just mark a slant line. Then I'll go ahead and cut it as like this. This is to remove excess poking from the zip at the back. I'll place my tape on the front skirt like this. I'll mark my nipple to nipple measurement, which is 4 inches. I'll like notch it like this. So I'm notching it on both the back and also the front. So that is where my dart is going to be starting from. I'm about to cut the lapel at the front. I will go ahead and open up my pattern paper like this, and I will extend the hip line and the skirt's length line to the other side. Remember, my pattern paper was folded into two. So once I was done doing that, I will go ahead and measure what I have at it done. What I have here is about 5 inches. So I will mark a straight line on the center of my pattern paper. Actually, I folded it into two before, so there was a mark there to identify the center. So at this point, what you are going to be doing is you are going to place the pattern paper on your body, because on this picture you're going to see that the longer part is at the right side and the shorter part is at the left side. So from the center, if you check the screen, you're going to see right and left. So from the right side, I will go in by 2 inches to the left side like this. Then I will come to the hip line. I will come down by 1 inch. Just follow up what I'm doing in case you do not understand what I'm saying. Then from the center, I will mark 2 inches. So I just want this line to be straight. That's why I went ahead to mark 2 inches at the downs way. So I will connect it like this. I'm going to be using red marker to mark the other side. I just want to explain something. Please pay attention. I will place my tape on this line. I will mark 3 inches. From that line, I will mark 3 inches. Then I will come to the down. I will also mark 3 inches. I will mark a straight line like this. So I'll go ahead and mark a dot like this. I just want the line to be straight on both sides. So I'll use my French curve to mark a curve, but I'll just remove it and use my free hand. Okay, after checking the picture, I discovered that the curve was not that too long, so I'll just go ahead and use my free hand and curve it until I have something better. So I'll curve it like this. So I'll just mark a dot for those that want to use an eyelet. So if you want your dot to stop, like your eyelet to stop at the hip line, you can go ahead and do that. So if you want to stop at the 1 inch I marked below the hip line, you can also go ahead and do that. But I think at the end of the day, mine is going to be ended at the hip line. So I will come to the down part of this skirt, that is the end here. So from the center, I will mark 1 inch inward. So I'm going to be placing my ruler on it like this. I will mark a slant line from the hip line down to that 1 inch I marked from the hip line. Okay, so from this down part, I will mark a slant line to meet with the skirt line. This is the skirt line that I showed you guys today. So I'll place my ruler and mark a slant line. Then I'll go ahead and cut it at. Please look the parts I'm going to be cutting at. Then we'll keep that aside. I will cut out this other part, this side that I marked with red marker. So I'll notch the hip line. Also notch the hip line on the other parts. So this is it. I'm going to go ahead and place it on my fabric, then pin it down. Then I'll go ahead and cut it out. So I went ahead to add half an inch while I was cutting it for joining allowance. So also notch that hip line. It's very important for you to notch through. So I'll go ahead and cut out this other part. Go ahead and notch the hip line. So I've gone ahead to cut it out, and I also went ahead to cut out a lining for each of the pieces. So this is the main skirt. I'm about to start sewing it. So the lining for the front part of this skirt was joined together because my lining was not enough. So I just went ahead to join dovetails that I have inside before. I just join it together and sew it together, which I'm going to be using as the lining for the front skirt. So I'm about to start the sewing process. I'm going to be placing the lining. The right side of the lining is going to be facing the right side of my fabric. Okay, so at the down part of my lining, I went ahead to minus 1 inch from the down part of the lining. So I do this a lot. If you've been watching my videos, I always minus 1 inch from the down. So I'll go ahead and drag the down part of the lining and the down part of the skirt, there's the fabric together. I will pin it. Okay, so I will take it to the same machine and sew it with 1/2 inch like this. Then I will come to the waistline, I will drag it and pin it together like this, and I will sew it with 1/2 inch. Then I will also drag this one up like this and sew it with 1/2 inch. So once I'm done sewing it, I will show you. I will do the same thing for the back. So I've gone ahead to sew it. I've also gone ahead to sew the back, as you can see, and I also went ahead to iron it out. So I'm just going to go ahead and open it and show you guys what I did. So after I was done sewing the side, the down and the other side, I went ahead to turn it out from the waist. Okay, so after I was done turning it out, I went ahead to sew the waist. After I was done turning it out, I went ahead to sew the waist. Then I went ahead to fold the skirt into two and give it a very good press. So I went ahead to iron the skirt first. Then I went ahead to sew the waist. Then I folded the skirt into two. I ironed it to have a gator at the center. Then I went ahead to fold it into two again like this. But at this time, I did fold it to the end. I just went ahead to fold in 4 inches, which is going to be serving as my dart line. So this is the line for the darts. It's going to be easy for me to sew my darts. Okay, so I will go ahead and fold one side like this inward. I will just fold one side like this inward. So I will mark the darts, the length that I want the dart to stop, which is 6 inches. Then I will mark 1/2 inch inward like this. I will connect a slant line. I will go ahead and pin it down. I will take to the same machine and sew it like this downward, and I will also do the same thing for the other side. So I hope you know how to take your darts before. Yeah, I'm just showing this. So this is the back part. So for the back, I went ahead to fold in 5 inches, not 4 inches. So 4 inches for the darts, then 1 inch for the zip allowance. So total folding in was 5 inches. So I will also count that by 6 inches, just like what I did for the front. I will do the same thing for the back, and sew my darts. So I've gone ahead to sew it, and this is how it look like. And I also went ahead to iron it. So the next thing is to go ahead and join the two parts together like this. The right side of this part is going to be facing the right side of the other part. Then I'll go ahead and pin it down from the start to the end. So I will place my tape on the waistline. I will minus 2 inches for the waistband. I will mark about 8 to 9 inches. I will mark a point there. I will come to the down. I will minus 3 inches upward. Then I will take to the same machine and sew it from this zipper line to this point here. So I've gone ahead to sew it, and this is it. So I'm just going to go ahead and keep this aside and work on the lapel at the front. So this is the lapel at the front. I went ahead to use the same Ankara to cut out the lining from one part because there was not enough lining for me to, as I earlier explained. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be placing both the one at the left side and the one at the right side on the table like this. And so I'm about to create my lacing channel, and I'm going to be using this lacy rope to create my channels. So if you want to use an eyelet, you can go ahead and use this, that's fine. So what I'm going to be doing is the rope I'm going to be using, the length is about 1.5 inch. I will just go ahead and cut it out. So from the waistline, I will come down by 1/2 inch like this on both sides. I'm coming down by 1/2 inch on both sides. So from that 1/2 inch, I will mark 1.5 inch downward. I will mark another 1.5 inch downward. These are the places where I'm going to be sewing the lacy rope. So I'm just going to mark 1.5 inch downward. So I think I have about 7 points at the end of the day on each side. Okay, so 1.5 inch downward like this, and I also did the same thing for the other side. So make sure you come down from the waistline by 1/2 inch because you are going to be adding waistband to it. So remember to come down by 1/2 inch. So I've gone ahead to mark a point, and this was not that visible, but just mark it. I will take this to the sewing machine right now. So I've gone ahead to cut out all the piece I'm going to be using for this stuff. So I'll go ahead and start sewing it on each of the points that are marked. So what I do is that I will pick one, I will fold it into two, I will sew it. I will pick another one, I will fold it into two, I will place it on the point, I will sew it. I will pick another one, I will fold it into two, I will sew it on the points that are marked. So please don't forget to subscribe, like this video if you end up enjoying it, and leave your comments. So I've gone ahead to sew for the right side. I will go ahead and sew for the left side, the one that is going to be at the left side. I'll go ahead and sew on it. Okay, so don't forget to also share my channels with your friends and your loved ones to come and watch and learn how to cut and sew as well. So follow me for more, subscribe to my channel. So I've gone ahead to sew on both sides. I don't know why this thing is not that really visible, so I'll go ahead and place the lining on it like this. I will pin it down, then take to the sewing machine and sew it. Mind you, don't forget that the channels that I created is at the front, so I'll go ahead and sew it around like this. Don't sew the waistline up. So I will also cover the other side with the lining. I will take the sewing machine and sew it around like this from the start to the end round. Then once I was done sewing it, I'll go ahead and turn it out from the waist line. So I've gone ahead to sew it. I hope you guys understand what I said. This is how it look like. So I'll go ahead and iron it. I hope this part did get you guys confused. If you do not understand this part, please let me know at the comment section. Just let me know. Okay, so I'll go ahead and iron the two. So this is the front skirt, the main skirt. This is the front part. This is what I'm going to be doing. I will place the left one on the left side like this. I will pin it down. Okay, I hope you guys now understand what I was saying. So I'll pin the right side on the right side of the skirt like this, and I will also go ahead and pin it down. Please, if you have any question, feel free to let me know at the comment section. I'll take to the sewing machine and sew it like this with 1/2 inch. I will sew these two together with 1/2 inch like this. So I've gone ahead to sew it. This is how it look like. So the next thing, I will place the back part on it like this. I will go ahead and shape in my skirt. So I'll go ahead and pin the I'll pin it down. Then I will take my waist measurement. So my waist is 32. 32 divided by 2 is going to give me 16. I'll go ahead and mark 16, and what I have left is 4 inches. I will divide that 4 inches by 2. I'll mark 2 inches on one side and mark 2 inches on the other side. So from my waistline, I will minus 2 inches for the waistband. I will measure my hip line, which is 10.5 inches. I will mark it on both sides, 10.5 inches. So you know how you take your shaping. Now just go ahead and shape your skirt the way you normally do it. But if you want me to make a video on how to shape your dress, whether skirt, top or gown, let me know in the comment section how to take a proper shaping. Let me know, I will show you guys. Go ahead and connect it with my French cuff together like this. I will sew it through the line I marked. Okay, through this shaping, I will sew this other side. So I've gone ahead to sew it, and this is how it look like. So also went ahead to iron it out. You can see the hip is hipping, you can see the stuff. So I've gone ahead to cut out the band for the waist. So I will go ahead and sew the band to the waist of my skirt, and I'm going to be making a separate video on how to attach the band to the waist of your skirt, because I really want to explain this in details, and this video is already getting too long. So I've gone ahead to sew it, and after I was done sewing it, I went ahead to attach my zip on it. And so once I was done attaching the zip, this is how it look like. And don't forget, I'll make a separate video for the band, the waistband. So I'll go ahead and cut out a stripe, which I'm going to be using for the lacing at the front using my Duchess. Okay, you can use any black fabric of your choice. So I will take to the sewing machine, I will fold the edge, I will sew it, then I will sew it from the start here like this down to the end. Then I will go ahead and turn it out, and this is it. I've gone ahead to sew it. So once I was done sewing it, I went ahead to lace it. Can you see how it look like at the back? So snatching, no zip poking, and this is the front part of the skirt. So guys, I'm going to be posting this on my TikTok and Instagram account. Do want to follow me on Instagram at official promoted Sandra, on TikTok at promoted Sandra, and don't forget to like and subscribe to this channel, comment, See you on my next video. Bye. I love you guys.